I don't even know how we want to start the show. Is there anything good we want? It's one of those where like you try to force yourself to come up with something, and it's like a pun.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Yeah.
So, anyways,
the following is a special presentation from the Captain Esports Network.
Hi, welcome to the podcast, episode 5. Let me look at the notes. What did I call this play? The Clash, I think it is. Yeah, the Clash, episode number 5. As we are ready to talk about the Clash and some other great things that have happened this week. I am the captain. Stephen Miles joins us.
Yes, sir.
Matt Telder joins us.
I didn't fuck up my shoes this week, so we're all right.
The third quickest F-bomb now in podcast history, I believe. Nothing will beat the last episode because you like the second word. So, either way, how was your weekend, guys? What did we do?
What did we do?
I built the most expensive computer for my cousin I've ever touched in my life.
Dude, I'm expecting your room that you're building, by the way, for where you do your streaming and stuff from. Like, it better look like the Taj Mahal with all the work you do in it.
Yeah, you're going to have that on the big jobs.
I mean, this guy is still working on stuff. What were you putting up, like, the 10-year-old, like, light bands that you get at Five Below? That would be, like, for high schoolers trying to pick up women?
First of all, fuck you. I'm above that. I buy the $20 strip lights from Amazon.
Oh,
but
man.
no, I thought Taylor redid his room and stuff. He did all that.
He's done a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm sitting there like, weren't you putting up like sound walls and stuff?
Yeah.
Who does that?
Well, this like, so the room I'm in, it used to be just your all concrete, unfinished wall storage room. Was all it was. In the basement of my fucking condo. So I've painted all the concrete walls. I've put up like a half wall with a ledge and everything in it. I had to put like a redneck shitty ceiling up out of scrap drywall pieces. Looks like shit. Hence why we're covering it in the sound panels. Because I put some like vinyl tile on the floor too to like get rid of the concrete floor. And the problem is this room echoes really, really bad.
Miles, you notice in mid-combo there, he like all of a sudden it sounds like somebody started vacuuming behind him?
Yeah.
My PC is losing its mind right now.
Oh, that thing is hot. It's hot. It's hot over there.
I was wondering if my mic would pick that up.
Yeah, we picked it up like somebody pulled a vacuum cleaner outside the door and started vacuuming.
No, that's my fucking PC. I don't know if I have a fan going bad or something, like a bearing in it or something, but...
Note that's 4 F-bombs already out of Telder in the first 5 minutes.
It's been a rough week, all right?
It happened. It's technically Tuesday now, but all right. So you know what my sound walls are around here? I got a little stack of boxes to my left here. Got my daughter's paintings up here, and a whole mess behind me. That's it.
Yeah.
We don't do that around here.
We watched the Clash. I know we did that. I lost some races.
Didn't we all?
And pretty much we just getting ready for Daytona 500 week.
You know what my biggest issue is right now?
What?
I'm trying to find my damn title to my Dodge here that I have. And I can't seem to find it. So, because you're supposed to get your title when you move to a new state within like 60 days. I'm working on like 150 right now.
Oh my God. Just like every other man in America.
Wait, is that a thing? I thought you only do that when you renew your license plate.
Well, here's the problem with that and here's the other issue we got to figure out. So I have the vehicle technically that's in my wife's name. She has the vehicle technically in my name. So next month or April, when my birthday gets here, we actually have to renew the title for that vehicle down in Georgia because they'll still be there. And then come September, we have to do it here, but there'll be a whole mess coming.
Yeah.
But I guess technically we're supposed to, switch over the title, I guess in 60 days, I know it's what Indiana law says. I've read that online. One of the rare things I read.
Yeah, I think something like that happened to me in Georgia when I had to pay double the insurance or whatever in the registration. So I already feel that pain, bro. You're going to have to pay that money, though, bro. They just adding up on you.
Yeah, Georgia, by the way, I remember spending $2,000, I think it was, on like two vehicles.
Yep.
And that's only because I had wanted, that was at the time, it was like 3 years old. So they made me drop like $1,200 on that one. The Dodge was like $600 because it's 13 years old now. So I'm like, no, maybe I won't have to spend much in Indiana. But the other thing too about this state is, unless it's changed in the last, 10 years since I was here last, they go by your last name when it comes to when you pay your title or when you renew your title. So I remember here I had to renew my title in like October instead of my birthday month in April.
Let's say here it's birthday.
Yeah, I think every other state is birthday. So, but I mean, I'm sure there's somewhere it's different. So, anyways, that's enough about that. That's what I got going on. I got to look through this big old cabinet to my right here.
The only other major thing I see is you apparently suck at road racing. So.
Dude, Alton Park, my friends. The track is cool. I actually enjoyed it. The problem is, it basically I ran the endurance race on Sunday, or attempted to. And that's one of those tracks you got to make sure you're laser focused. If you got other things in your mind or you're tired, you're going to have problems because the thing has hills everywhere. And the corners, there's some that are blinding. You got some with chicanes. You got the reminder in the two chicanes that the tire barriers don't move. You've got cars that dive bomb you. You've got what else happened? It just, a lot of things happened. I did not even complete 2 hours and I was disqualified.
Whoa. Too many X's?
Yep. A lot of 1X's, and then I had a guy dive bomb me in the NASCAR corner. I don't know what it's called. I have to look up the names, but there's a corner, I think it's like turn 4 or something like that. You make a right and it's banked. Probably like 12 to 15 degrees, and it's a hairpin and it's banked. And a guy, of course, sends it in there on me and spins me out. And then, of course, the finishing move that got me later in the race was the guy who was one position behind me, 2 laps behind me, takes me out in that same corner, and that was the disqualification. I wanted to cue the mic and say, all you had to do is ask for the spot. I'd have gave it to you.
Yeah.
But at least the sprint race went a lot better, and I finished 9th in that race. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Alton Park,
how long was the sprint race?
40 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
I think I still had like 12 points during that 40 minutes. Alton Park for you. That's fun. And now what they're at, what's the track with the M that you just bought, Telder, recently?
Musco.
Yeah. So it's one of the new tracks on iRacing. How do I not remember this? But anyways, they're there this week in IMSA, and then the VRS is at Road Atlanta. At least I got experience at Road Atlanta.
Yeah.
Now you got me looking. Malaria? No, I'm just kidding. Let me see. Now I got to look real quick, and then we'll get into.
Well, while you're doing that, let's what was your opinions on the Clash?
I thought they made a good move. And of course we'll talk about that, but I thought it was a great move, and I thought the race was good.
Yeah, it wasn't as much wrecking as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, you guys were a little off on the caution total. But
yeah, I was way off. It was way off.
Well, but in all fairness, we didn't really get a chance to determine whether or not there was 15 cautions in the LCQ race. So
that's true.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I think Mother Nature saved a lot of money for these teams.
Yeah, but it also wasted a lot of money for the teams.
That's fair. That's fair.
For like all the stuff that did, all the ones that didn't make the even
Mugello.
That's not a big
Mugello.
track.
Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello. Anyways, that's the one you bought like a couple weeks ago, and you were trying to figure out how to get around. So I remember you were like, "Oh, there's a corner there. Oh, there's another corner there." In chat. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, it was like I still don't agree with the I think I agree with them moving it, obviously, because they still wouldn't be racing in LA right now. But I don't agree with the short notice of doing it. Like, you knew the weather was coming for days. And just kind of like, guess we'll see what happens. And then to turn around the day of 3 or 4 hours before the race and be like, yep, we're running the Clash race tonight. And then the Mexico race is going to follow. But the Mexico race initially wasn't going to be on TV. Then they finally decided to put it on FS2, which I don't know how many people even have that channel to begin with, but
I think I have to check on that. Weren't they supposed to air that on FS1 originally?
yeah, it was supposed to be on FS1, but then because of them moving it, they didn't have a time slot.
Gotcha.
For it.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to see, when did I post that they were going to move the race? Because that is when I found out
it was
that they were moving the race.
The official announcement was at 3:30 p.m.
So I was in the middle of nap time from working. And
nothing wrong with a good nap.
Dude, Saturdays is rough usually for me. But yeah, we'll find out. But I think they made the right move. But yes, I do agree, because they knew about this quote unquote atmospheric river. I've been a meteorology weenie, as they call them apparently in weather. Those who like the indoor meteorology. For all my life, I've never heard of that term.
I can't say I've ever heard of it.
But yeah, matter of fact, it's still raining over there, so hopefully everybody's okay. It looks rough. So, but no, it put on a good show. The one thing I kind of caught out of it was, of course, the new settings of the car with the gearing and stuff.
It was so nice to hear them not shift.
Exactly, yes. And I think that played a role, because you saw cars fall off.
Well, you saw guys blowing corners and stuff too.
Yeah.
Before you just downshifted, grabbed a gear, and disappeared again.
Well, downshifted and used the other guy's front end or rear end.
But people were just blowing corners to look at Hamlin in the last 5-10 laps.
Well, that's because he had a flat spot on his left front, so he couldn't stop.
That man couldn't hit the bottom of his life depended on it.
Oh man, yeah, it was. That was a. No, I thought it was a good race, but Hamlin, I guess, earned it somehow. I thought Kyle Busch was going to pull it off. I was like, man, I'm going to look good after week 1. But
I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Well, you still did Miles get it?
Well, Busch finished second. Logano finished like fourth.
Oh yeah, so Skala got it then.
Yeah.
So
Don't mention Josh Berry to Telder.
Well, I mean, I don't I wouldn't have picked him had that been the format. Like you had to qualify into it. I wouldn't have picked that.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, we'll recap the whole race here in a few minutes, but also let's see. Talk about this Andretti deal. That's going to be
Formula One rejecting Andretti's bid to join the grid.
Good. League racing, Miles had a rough week of bad pit stops.
I don't want to hear about
it.
And Telder, I don't
hear about it either.
No, that just tells me that Telder had bad pit stops during your races too. Is that what I'm hearing there?
Don't you remember the Treehouse Autosport TI pure silhouette?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that
would
was nice. The like y'all did that on purpose. I don't know why.
It looked good doing it.
Yeah.
The fact is, you guys went the opposite way of each other was the more interesting.
Yeah, it was just at the same exact time, like almost. It's crazy.
I mean, the only thing you would have needed was like Devin comes sliding through like in the middle. Just
part and seas.
Could have played like some kind of classical tune or something to it. Yeah, so and then the All-American race at Telder, I think, wrecked like 41 times.
41?
It felt like it.
41 times?
He went like the first half of the race clean. And then from that first wreck he was involved in, it was like I kept Telder's in this one, Telder's in this one, Telder's in this one.
You were leading up front, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was when the first one started, when I got turned to the lead.
I was way in the back.
Yeah. So I got wrecked from the lead. Then just after that, it felt like every single wreck after that I was involved in some way.
Nice. We might touch on the Netflix show, but to be honest, there's two of us at least in here that have not seen the show yet because we just haven't had the chance to. But we've heard good comments about it.
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good.
I've heard some good things about it, so I'm actually looking forward to sitting down and watching it. So
yeah. And then our special guest this week is Kevin Inglin, who joins me on Monday nights for the Sim500 Cup Series. And I think Telder's got a new friend. We actually recorded the interview yesterday. And we'll have him on and talk about the preview of that series and what randomness comes up and some questions about who we think is going to break out and so on and so forth. And like I said, we get into modified talk and stuff like that. It's going to be a fun conversation. You guys will enjoy. So otherwise, is there anything I missed?
The only other things left after that will be we're going to get into a little bit of facts or cap. We'll recall what our facts or cap were last week and how that played out. And then we're going to do we need to come up with a creative name for our picks at the end of it. Like, what's it going to be called?
Pick sure to go wrong.
That was nice. That was real fast. You came up with them real quick.
I used to, well, there was a show I used to do with a friend of mine back in the day. And it literally became a thing where like it was Skala's picks or Skala's predictions sure to go wrong. Because like I would predict something and it would just totally go the other way.
Wow.
But anyways, yeah, that's
let's
kind of.
Let's come up with a name for that.
What's the and then you actually had the idea, not to spoil the interview, but you actually had the idea during the interview with Kevin where you said the track combo thing.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. So we'll let you guess what Kevin picked. So anyways, yeah, let's get back. Let's talk about the Clash here all the way through now. And so the race itself moves up a day, and so they do single car or not even single car qualifying. They go out and they just do the heat they do a practice and then 2 rounds. And then after that, the third round, they split the packs of, what was it? 12 into 6-car packs and went out there and did like the 2017-18 style qualifying.
Yeah, open qualifying. So
right. And so they had to go out there and run for 4 minutes and get the best qualifying lap you did. Top 22 made it. Provisional gets in. Everybody else goes home. Basically how it was. Which was interesting because it took about 10 laps for the tires to really heat up to get your best lap. I mean, if you tried to go out there and run like 3 or 4 laps, you weren't going to make it. And I think one of the pivotal events that happened in qualifying that took out Christopher Bell, who did not make the race. Josh Berry didn't make the race. And I don't remember if he was one that did this, but I think we saw really quickly that the new tires were the way to go in that round of qualifying because Bell tried scuff tires.
Yeah, but they tried scuff tires to get a little bit more heat in there, being a little bit more wear on the tire, wouldn't take as long to heat up, less material there.
Which is a short track move in a way too, but it didn't work.
Yeah, there's some decent names left off that list.
I mean, and it's kind of funny because one of the facts or cap we brought up here the last couple of weeks was a big name would miss the show. Christopher Bell ended up being that guy. Austin Dillon didn't make the race, which of course he had 2 top 5s. Some might say, well, that's not surprising. Well, the man top 5 both races so far going into that race. And then of course Kyle Busch qualifies up front. So something went wrong there. Josh Berry didn't make the race, among others. And then Ryan Blaney had to take the champions provisional, if you will, to get in. And that's what knocked Bell out to the 23rd position. But Denny Hamlin went out there, won the pole, and obviously he goes out and leads laps. And then Logano takes the lead. Then Ty Gibbs dominates the first half that only had, 3 cautions in the end of the first half. So it was kind of clean. And then
I saw a stat that said the first 80 laps of that 150 lap race took 18 minutes.
Sounds about right. What, about 14-second laps? 13?
Yeah, they're in the 13s, but
That's crazy.
The fact that you had 80 laps in 18 minutes shows how clean it was.
Yeah, they and I mean the only cautions there were, it's the Todd Gilliland, I think, blew a brake rotor or something, had brake problems. He spun out. Michael McDowell got into
wrecked.
Yeah, and then the caution at the which, by the way, the McDowell wreck threw everything for a loop because I was riding the first part of the race with Chase Elliott on the NASCAR Drive website, and apparently people, either NASCAR doesn't communicate with the teams a lot or something here, but it sounded like half the teams didn't know that it was a short track race procedure where they don't count the caution laps. So everybody thought when McDowell's wreck happened that, oh, we're going to the end of the stage here and we're going to be done until the second half. No, they ended up with like a 1 or 2 lap shootout because the laps didn't count. And everybody was like, oh, I guess we're going green here.
It was a one lap race to the halfway point.
So, which, ended up pretty entertaining. But so facts are cap here. The MGK concert at halftime was canceled. Was NASCAR better off without that performance?
Facts.
Oh, hold on. We said the same time. Facts.
I was wondering where you guys would go with that. So why do you think they were better off without it?
Because anybody that was there on Saturday was your diehard fans.
Which wasn't many people, by the way.
It wasn't many people at all.
But most people that were going Sunday were probably like that were there for a concert or something like that. So them moving it up and having a bunch of people that anybody that was there for the Saturday like heat races and qualifying watches NASCAR.
Right.
That wasn't the tourist day. Sunday was the tourist day.
Yeah.
So if you would have had all these non-tourist NASCAR fans there and then still tried to do that concert, nope, we're good.
So go ahead.
Wasn't they trying to rush or whatever anyway because they was expecting rain?
Well, it's funny because as soon as actually in the Mexico race, I think it rained?
Yeah, it rained
a little bit.
Like they had to call the race off because it started raining.
I think they actually got it finished, but it started to rain during the race. Yeah. But I mean, as soon as it was over with, here comes the system in. But the 2 things that I caught off of that, one is Sunday tickets. For those who bought tickets, I assume there's a refund.
Yeah, they were get refunded. Yep.
And then 2, a lot of things I heard, like I saw on social media and then heard, was like, well, how come they moved the race up at 3:00 in the afternoon? You would think people would have been able to get there. First thing you have to remember about LA, go watch an LA Dodger game and just watch this. Don't even watch the game. Watch the stands the whole entire time. Because the first inning, it's completely empty. Second inning, it starts to build. Third inning, getting there. By the 5th inning of the game, everybody's at the game. You want them to come to a NASCAR race. It's one of those things that if you had something planned for Saturday night, you weren't going to the race, no matter what was changed. You probably got some of LA that had no clue that it had changed unless you had social media. So you could only expect the best or hope for the best in that situation. So the crowd we got, I mean, it didn't look terrible, but there were seats empty.
Yeah.
But the MGK concert, I think we were good without that. And it makes you wonder if we even needed a performance at halftime.
I don't think
that
you
race.
do. You're getting into what F1 did with the Vegas race and turning it into a show, not a sporting event.
Which MGK again. Let's get back to that topic.
So
All
do
right.
we think though, them doing what they did on such short notice, the turnout was obviously not good. Bunch of teams are mad now because these sponsors paid to be on cars to see them race Saturday and Sunday.
I didn't even get a chance to.
And so some of them didn't even make it on the broadcast during qualifying.
Wow.
So do we think it gets moved after this for sure? Was this the final year now after this?
Think so.
I think so. And it's funny because, you mentioned door bumper clear being, the podcast it is. I saw a message from Brett Griffin today, and he said something that really caught my eye. And it's such a true fact. Everybody complained about Daytona and about we need to try to move this race somewhere else. Daytona's not it anymore because of the wrecks and things like that. Now, all of a sudden, we want Daytona back. We want Daytona back. It's like you never really know. His message was something you never really know how good it was until it's gone.
Yep. That old, the grass is not always greener on the other side philosophy.
Right.
I think it needs to go back to pole winners and stuff like that. Make it go back to what the Budweiser shootout used to be.
Even before that, the Busch Clash. Back when,
yeah,
25 laps, pole sitters only. Let them go.
Yep.
That's the way it was.
100% agreed.
I mean, that's the way it was. So, second half gets going, and it's a wild one. I mean, we started having caution after caution. It went 5 cautions in the end in that second stage. We ended up having the rivals. Logano gets moved by Gibbs, and then Gibbs gets spun out after losing the lead late in the race. Chastain and Reddick start playing bumper tag with each other with, I think, was Reddick gets spun out and then goes and gets Chastain after the race. And then Bubba and Larson get at it again, which leads to Bubba actually getting spun on the last lap. In the mystery here is somehow he gets credited for 12th in the race, but yet, and he even tweeted about it.
I think there was only 12 cars in the lead lap at that point.
Maybe that's what it is, because he tweeted, he's like, how did I finish 12th when I just went straight to the tunnel when I spun?
Yeah, I think he was there was only 10 or 12 cars in the lead lap, I believe. So
yeah.
You also forgot Ricky Stenhouse getting mad at half the field.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, Stenhouse went and spoke with John Hunter Nemechek, and I mean, it looked like he grabbed him by the collar in the car.
I think he grabbed it the front of his helmet or whatever.
He got mad at him. He was Doran McDowell under caution.
He got mad at somebody else too. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head, but I saw it earlier. It was he got mad at John Hunter, got mad at McDowell. He got mad at somebody else too and doored the shit out of them under caution.
Somebody probably made a Danica comment to him. No, I'm just kidding. But sorry. He's married now. Okay, he's happy. So, but Ty Gibbs pretty much leads for a while. And then, of course, the restarts happen, and Hamlin ends up passing Gibbs with 9 laps to go, which then turns into Gibbs getting turned by Larson. And, of course, he ends up finishing towards the back, which also led to the Logano contact and so much more. But obviously, Denny Hamlin wins the race from the pole. Gibbs leads the most laps, which I think kind of surprised me a little bit that he was that fast.
Yeah,
I mean, he pulled away in that race. But yeah, I mean, there was passing, there was contact, obviously, too. You had cars go to the front and fall to the back. I mean, Ryan Blaney finished 3rd in this race, started last. Martin Truex Jr. went from 19th to 4th in almost the first half of the race. I mean, he was flying up through the field. So, I mean, you had passing out there. So, if there's anything, there might be some positives when you get to Richmond, to Martinsville.
I'd say the short track package looks a little bit more promising now. So,
right now, I think the tires they need to work on a little bit, but
tires they still need to work on. I saw a lot more guys getting loose on throttle, so that's a good sign too. But that has to do with the gearing and not shifting and stuff. So,
facts are cap. While it's okay to be mad, it's the Clash. Is there any need to do a whole talk after the race, like Gibbs, Logano, Reddick, Chastain type thing? I mean, it's a Clash. We're at a quarter-mile track. Just in this one, you just kind of let it go and move on.
Just like Daytona, Budweiser shootout, man. Just let it go, man.
Yeah, I agree. But this is also something that's been brewing since Kansas or something like that.
The Charlotte Roval was the Gibbs Logano deal. Well,
But
started it.
well, pretty much
Is
everybody got
that the one
into
that
it.
is that the one that started it was with the Roval or whatever?
Yeah, because that was where Gibbs was like doing all types of moves to Logano, chopping his nose off
Yep.
and stuff, and then
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Logano wrecked him at Martinsville.
right. And then there's actually a YouTube video out there right now. It's like 7 minutes long. A guy actually cut and put together the whole entire Gibbs versus Logano thing.
Well, see, like Joey's mad because Gibbs ran him up, late in the race. But if you rewind it 20 laps, Logano did the same thing to Gibbs on a restart. So,
I mean, when is the timeline of Pop Meat Kettle run out here? Because I mean, Logano did the same stuff 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's one of those ones. Somebody's gonna have to reach out like non-verbally in a race and let the other go. Basically, like what Denny Hamlin was saying on his podcast or whatever. It's like somebody needs to reach out that olive branch first and like, okay, if you're Gibbs and Logano comes up on you, don't race him. Just let him go. Say, I'm not gonna fight you. Let him go.
I think this is one you guys I agree with you guys. I think it's one that, it's okay to discuss it. I don't think you need to be like up on each other's hollers and just talk it out real quick and be like, hey, just,
the fact that Gibbs tried to say, hey, come on in here and we'll sit down for a minute and talk about it. And Logano was like, yep, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do it out here.
In front of everybody.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, credit to Moonhead. He had the best idea of the world. Why don't they lift the gate up so we could have all seen the combo?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Put it on a stage, raised stage.
I mean, just lift the gate up. Everybody sees it.
I know you're really mad at me. Give me 10 seconds to put this lift gate up real quick.
All right, so one last factor caps on this race, and this actually has to do with a Twitter comment, and I thought this caught my eye a little bit. It was from Justin Marks, course Trackhouse owner, and also part quarter owner, I guess that would be, of the Cars Tour. He used this in this exact tweet from the quote. We use it to showcase the grassroots of our sport. Salem, New Smyrna, Wall Stadium, Nashville, Winchester, etc. He said, climate depending, invest in the track's infrastructure, galvanize the sports foundation. Heck of a show. All entries start to main, but produce it at a level that makes it a true promotional event for TV viewers. He's speaking of what you could do at the Clash.
Oh, agreed. Look at it's the same thing what they did with North Wilkesboro.
Mm-hmm.
Short track revival.
Facts.
A lot of these tracks are having, that struggle to put on a weekly show half the time.
Could you imagine him running like Winchester?
Salem. Like SRX went to Berlin last year.
Mm-hmm.
Look what that did. The best race they've ever put on.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like there's all these tracks out here that, your average fan may not know exists. Guarantee there's a bunch of people, like the people who know what like Nashville Fairgrounds is, may not know what like Winston-Salem is or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Salem is a big ARCA venue. I mean, ARCA runs there twice, I think, each year. And that track surface is older than all of us. I think it's older than me, and I'm almost 40. The surface there, you have to literally get up against the wall, and you're bumping and bouncing everywhere on that track. It's so worn out. But it's like, 20 degrees of banking or so. It's high. And a fun track to watch a race at. Wall Stadium, honestly, I've never seen a race at. Winchester is they call it the fastest half mile.
Yep.
So, I mean, a couple names of those tracks right there, I think were awesome. I think if you wanted to keep it local in North Carolina, I mean, you got Southern, you got so many tracks over in that area. Concord's obviously
Florence is right there, isn't it?
Yep, Florence is right there. I would say Greenville Pickens, but that's going to be gone probably soon. Myrtle Beach is now gone. So I guess that would leave you to Florence. You got Southern. What's the one the Cars Tour ran last year? It's up near. You got Hickory. You can go there. I can't remember the other name. It's in North Carolina. There, long name city town. But I remember where they had that bad wreck with the guy that literally ramped over the car and hit the. I remember watching this race.
Not Flamborough. That's in Canada.
Anyways, it was like it's another half mile, like a Martinsville, long straightaway, short corners. I'll have to think about it, but there's so many tracks though locally. You can go to, Virginia, go to Motor Mile, or you can go to I mean, I'm just going up the coast here. I mean, if you wanted to go, I mean, it'd be too cold, but I mean, you could say, Stafford or to Thompson, but then I think you'd have to move the race to the summer because of the weather. So, then again, in this weather right now, you get away with it.
The point is, though, is like they spend. I thought it was like what, like $3-4 million to pave that track, to pave the Coliseum every year. Why not take that money, and invest that into one of these local short tracks?
Right.
Give the owners a little bit of money to like just use their facility for it. Like so they like take some burden off them for the year. Maybe they use that money and reinvest it back in. Like instead of spending $4 million paving this track, you're going to tear up 3 days after it's done. Yeah. Give the track owners $1 million. Put $1 million into the facility, like some extra concessions. Maybe a couple extra bathrooms. So just a better infrastructure to support a NASCAR style event. Save yourself $1 million or $2 probably. And then, but like. Maybe that owner that gets $1 million for, them using his facility for this event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he turns around and takes that $1 million and puts it back into their weekly series there. Increases payouts. Maybe throws up a 20K to win race or something like that, Yeah. Automatically, puts a few years in that track's pocket financially.
Yeah. Now, the other, I guess the other feedback to that, if I were to play devil's advocate here for a second, is I forget, was it Devin that maybe mentioned it or whatever, but somebody mentioned it's the only race now in Southern California all year. Yeah. Is the Clash. So it's like.
But once again, back to our conversation from last week, you have other short tracks out there.
Right. Irwindale, Kern
County.
Yeah. So.
Now here's an idea. Real quick, speaking of Kern County, say we did that next year, right? We go back out there. There is the asphalt oval right there.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Kern County dirt track right behind it. What about doing a 2-race event, an asphalt race and a dirt race? Points for both of them. Your overall winners who has the most points after both nights.
I mean, it's creative.
You can do the same format: qualifying, heat races, LCQ, feature.
The only issues I can think of, the main one would be Goodyear bringing all the tires out there. That would be the only thing I could think of, like the biggest issue.
You got 3 months. You got 3 months to figure it out.
Right. So that's probably the main issue I can think of. But I mean, I'm sure if I sat down and tried to break it down, or any of us did, I'm sure we could come up with something. But no, I mean, the idea is creative, but I don't know. I think the best idea, you want to save money for these teams that are spending thousands of dollars driving 2 days across the country to not even run this race. I mean, you had 14 cars? 13 cars that went home. So those 13 teams had to travel and do nothing. Then, oh, by the way, you had, according to what I saw on social media, you had drivers still in California on Sunday as the rain has started, which hasn't stopped, by the way. You've got, now you got to come back across the country. So that's where I'd come back with if you want to save money, keep it right nearby and do it somewhere there in North Carolina or South Carolina or right in that region somewhere. Or worst case scenario, go right back to Daytona and do the Clash there.
Or you got to pay it like a normal points paying race. Make it financially viable for the teams.
Yeah. Or go to New Smyrna. Start it there to kick off speed weeks there or something. So, yep. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ideas. So feel free, when you listen to the podcast, you want to comment to one of us or share your opinion, feel free.
Why not go down to Five Flags, do it there?
You would find a way to enter that race, wouldn't you?
We see the infrastructure that the Derby week houses.
Yeah.
If they can do all that, they can
with
host
that many cars.
Race.
Yeah.
They can host a NASCAR race there.
And you know what? That's another area too that you really don't see racing at when it comes to NASCAR. There's nothing in that little spot the only thing you get is the ARCA race at Mobile. Yep. Otherwise, there's nothing for Louisiana unless you go to Texas. There's nothing for Mississippi unless you go to a surrounding state.
Alabama.
Talladega is your best bet, if you're on the coast of Florida. So, that's a whole nother area you don't even touch really. So that might not be a bad option. So anyways, Daytona 500, 2 weeks. That'll be the next race. Qualifying is Wednesday night. The duels are on Thursday as usual. The ARCA race has 50 entries, which is on the Saturday of the Xfinity race.
14 cars finish that race.
We'll discuss when we get there. Well, SVGB won. So we'll see.
Just in other racing news too, before we move on, we'll get into it a little bit later. But Andretti, F1, getting told no. And the other big news is Lewis Hamilton is going to Ferrari next year.
Yeah, that's
who saw that one coming? Who saw that one coming?
Lewis Hamilton.
Well, yeah, you seen the money.
So,
doesn't
Hamilton get furious over pit crew or pit issues, and he wants to go to Ferrari?
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But
so, who do we think replaces him though?
Ooh,
Mercedes.
See, I haven't been able to see. I don't see enough really to be able to guess.
I think Bottas comes back and just plays number 2 role to George Russell.
Is George Russell good enough to be a 1?
They gonna have to. They gonna have to make him number 1.
Well, Bottas is good enough to give him a run. We know what Bottas' skill level and driving ability is. Maybe that's what they're looking for, is to push Russell into that next tier of unlocking his ability.
I don't know.
They're let's see if Russell has it test, pretty much.
So, since we're in the F1, I don't know where to go with this because it's again, I haven't watched F1 in a while myself, but I think we all have a pretty common opinion here with a lot of America that facts or cap here, F1 dropped the ball on this F1 team for Andretti.
No, 100%. They made themselves look really bad with that decision.
F1 had so much momentum in America. They have this Vegas race that's been huge. They got this Miami race that has been huge. Obviously, Code has been here for 10 years now. There's potential. They got the New York Street Circuit that's been talked about. They've got so many different races that they've been trying to put here in America in events. You've got, was it Logan Sargent, who's an American driver, racing over in F1 right now. I'm not sure if he's still there this year or not, but you've got an American driver. You've got 3 American races, potentially a 4th coming in the biggest city in America. You have all this momentum, a Netflix series that has probably built an American crowd to it. And now you pretty much throw the chance of an American team, a second American team, down the drain.
Yeah, not good on that part.
And the reason why, and the reason I read blew my mind. Did I really see them say that this Andretti team they felt would not compete with Red Bull?
Well, I heard that their car design was very similar to Red Bull's.
If it really comes down to comparing to another team, what's the point here? Haas hasn't competed with Red Bull yet either, and they've been around, 5-6 years?
Haas struggles to compete with itself.
So,
maybe they need to call Sylvester Stallone to come do some quarter tricks or something.
There you go. We got to get 2 in this week, by the way. I never get one in last week.
I figured there was an opportunity for one there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Man. Throw Sprint or Nextel on that car. But so yeah, I was quite I was disappointed for the F1 fans because I feel like F1 just kind of I don't want to say spit on the group of fans or whatever, but it literally it definitely did some hurting to the fan base, I think, with this move. So we'll see what happens into the future here. But yeah, so no Andretti team, so that leaves you with Haas as your only American F1 team. And then you mentioned Hamilton Ferrari. Another thing we didn't even mention, Christian Horner apparently under investigation for something. For Red Bull, some kind of behavior issues. So once again, another high
Christian Horner being a dick to somebody. There's news.
Well, I mean, he was the one guy it seemed like Crofty liked to talk to during a race. I noticed. I don't know if that was like a contract thing or something. Anyhow, yeah, the Hamilton Ferrari deal is going to be interested, and we'll see what else comes up because they start their season usually in March, I believe. So we still got a little bit of time before they get their stuff going. So, all right, let's go to league racing and Telder. We got some interesting stuff here coming up, but we had an interesting week of racing too.
Yeah, pretty wild TI Daytona race.
Yeah. I mean, coming off of what we talked about last week, which I pretty much up until the Daytona race heard a lot from. Anyways, I'm not even going to touch that subject anymore. So we go to Daytona and carnage ensues. We remind ourselves again, you cannot push in the ARCA cars or the Gen 4 cars. But Miles, obviously, everything started pretty much at lap turn 1.
I mean, I was in the back the whole race. I just rode in the back.
You seem to have learned that strategy from somebody.
Yeah, I just use the Skala technique, and soon enough I'm finna give it up because it's not working.
Hey, it works. It works when done right. I mean, when you get into a spot like, we saw in these races. I mean, we go out here and you have 6 leaders, 8 lead changes. I mean, they pretty much wreck on the first lap or something like that of the race because Dean gets turned. And it spreads the field out. Casey Carrington leads like the first 40 laps of the race. And then pit stops come. And it turns into a circus on pit road.
I was say, I think Dean, didn't Dean have like a wild entry or something like that? And
Dean was one of many that had a wild entry.
I don't know if there's been a worse green flag pit stop sequence in a race I've ever seen.
I mean, it starts with
me and Josh. Gosh. It starts with me and Josh.
Were you guys the first to pit, you and Josh?
We were the first. No, there was a group that pitted like 2 laps before us.
Okay, so there was the group
somebody spun out on pit road entry. I don't know who it was.
That was oh gosh, it feels like it's been a year ago since that race happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get one car spins out, and the next lap you get the big pack coming in. Chris Lewis goes and tags the inside wall. You have Cornwell who gets up into Ethier. They go out in the grass. Meanwhile, here comes Hurricane Dean from turn 4 that couldn't stop a nosebleed if he tried, and literally plows Ethier. That it was so bad that Lewis actually pulled me up after the race. Goes, "Do you think that was our purpose?" I'm like, "No, he couldn't stop the car."
You see his brakes lock up on the broadcast.
Yeah, and then once he saw, he's like, oh, "Okay, fair point." And then the next lap, you and Gagnon do your ice skating routine on pit road, and I mean, you had people overshooting their pit stalls. I think Dom Russo might have spun 2 or 3 times on pit road. I mean,
somebody spun getting back onto the track.
That happened too. Yes. I mean, I'm just like, oh my God. I literally, and I made the comment after the race, and Miles, I think, took it as trolling, which I can understand this. But I said, you know what? I think maybe for the Talladega race, since it's the last race of the season, Lewis should consider a 20-minute, all you do is pit practice.
Hey, somebody go get Jacob Black. We'll practice pacing at the same time.
Is he still at that hotel? I wonder. Anyways, so Oh my gosh. So you end up only 2 cautions because I mean the field spread out 99% of the time. But check this out. I'm just gonna read. One driver had 0 incident points the whole race. And he finished 22 laps down.
Who was
That's
that?
Josh Parent. Everybody else had incident points.
He blew his motor up.
Yeah, he money shifted, by the way. I did add that to the bingo card. He money shifted after, or was that Gagnon money shifted?
Gagnon money shifted.
That's
right.
Gagnon money shifted. Josh still blew up though. He blew his stuff up.
So yeah, you had the winner ends up with 1 incident point. That was Sean Lester. Giroux ends up with 7, finishes second. Lewis with 8, finishes third. Alfin with 4, finishes fourth. Eureka with 12 incident points, finishes fifth. I mean, thank God there's no incident point penalties.
You're not wrong.
Miles finishes 11th with 8 incident points.
And I was third or fourth going into turn 3.
You were, weren't you? I forgot there was a wreck on the last lap that pretty much let Lester win the race. Yeah.
My pit stops was flawless. We lost the draft. Me and Devin was drafting buddies. We was out of the draft, running 17th, 18th. Finally get our caution we need, and I finally want to make a run to the front. And it's Sean Lester, Ryan Whitaker first and second. I'm third, and Casey's fourth. With a lap car of Kyle Ether coming up through the field.
Oh, that's a whole nother story there.
And basically lap cars getting in the way or whatever, and the leaders get into it, and Ryan come off the wall and come down and hit 2 of us or 3 of us, and I ended up saving the car, and he still ran me over. And after that, I don't know who hit me, but I think it was Dean or was it Alf? No, Alvin finished. It was somebody that killed me and went flying somewhere, bro.
I believe. Well, you didn't even have it was Telder to hit you.
Yeah, it was Telder. That's who it was. Telder flipping.
Died pretty much down the whole entire turn 3 and 4. This guy's flying in midair, tumbling, and I mean he had Ryan Priest pretty much on his car over in 3 and 4. And I saw the replay, and I literally posted in Discord. I'm like, I had to do the Mike Kelton. I'm like, it's the toughest announcement I ever had to make. Which is crazy because during this race, Ty Young, who is a newcomer to the series, he's had a whole fan club watching.
Yeah.
And one of his friends apparently literally says in chat next week at his bar in the Colony, Texas. I forget what the bar is called off the top of my head. It's like McKibben's or something like that. They are going to put on the TV the TI race. And all this breaks out after.
Yeah, go team.
I'm just like, man, I hope he's still sticking to his word here. And then I'm sitting there like, hey, I got other leagues I broadcast too, just in case. But no, it was Daytona, put it like that. So we move on to Old Atlanta coming up. That's actually going to be later tonight here since we're on Tuesday doing this. What else do we miss? See, Thursday was Auto Club. You should know that race pretty well, Miles.
Winner, chicken dinner. I had to get me at least one real quick in the week.
Yeah, that was
a good race.
Yeah, it was a good race. Strategy came into play again. The trucks. I mean, you guys were putting on a pretty good show. I mean, the strategies were coming into play. You were having to spread out, trying to find a lane. I don't remember seeing a particular lane really be the dominant one.
Yeah, it was every lane. Whoever could run it the best, and I mean, people was getting. I didn't know who had tires, who didn't, and it was wild, man. Cause I was saving tires behind like a group of 3 or 4, the top 3 or 4 or whatever, and I'm just sitting there saving, and then I see these trucks coming so fast behind me. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on here? So then I said it's time to go. And then once I passed them, I seen how slow they were. I was like, oh, they didn't even take tires. So I could have took off and got a good little lead and got them away from my draft. But that just made the show even better, man. That was a wild finish too.
Yeah, 18 lead changes, 11 leaders, 5 cautions in the race. One thing I did tell Lewis after the race, I said, that's going to be your probably farthest away from a super speedway race you'll have is that race just because of the worn out surface and just the way the racing went. You led 27 laps and held off Cornwell. You and Cornwell had a pretty good battle for a little bit.
Yeah, I thought he had tires, but apparently he only took 2. So
he did, yeah. Dean finished 3rd, Roper 4th, and then Kyle Ethier 5th there. And yeah, really no drama in that one, thankfully. So
now we get to Friday.
Yeah, and then really the fun really begins this week. So here comes All American running their 200-miler at Daytona. And we go green.
Hold on, we're gonna start back on the qualifying though, because only a few, like a certain
that's a
number
good point.
make it.
Yeah, so we had 46, 47 cars try to qualify for a race of, I think it's 36, or is it 43?
No, 43.
Was it 43? I knew it used to be 36. So 43 cars. So 4 cars go home. Didn't even make the race. And one of them was actually, which TI driver was it?
Kobe Wells.
Yeah.
Was downstairs trying to talk his parents into letting him get a dog, and he missed qualifying, not knowing that he was supposed to qualify on time. So if he did qualify, I'm pretty sure Lewis would not have made the show.
Oh my gosh.
43rd out of 43 drivers.
How another dog situation comes into play.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And he was upset. Kobe was real upset about that, but I mean, we told him being there at 7:30. So
you got to know the rules. That's what that comes down to. You got to understand. I mean, Casey Carrington might be the most organized owner that I know of on iRacing.
I wanted to screenshot the sessions, the sessions that he do, so Lewis could see what you're supposed to do for your league.
He posted announcements. Let me go to All American Discord really quickly here at announcements, and let's scroll up to 4:19 Eastern time when he posts, "The day is finally here. 7th season All American presented by Harpoon Designs." Right here, second line. Tonight's session opens at 7:30 Eastern with an hour of practice followed by 5-minute 2-lap qualifying session where the fastest 43 qualifiers will make the field of 80 laps. That's at 4:19 Eastern.
When he went back and read that, he was just like, I mean, he couldn't do nothing. He just felt bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could feel bad for it, but that's, again, the biggest lesson. When you see people ping stuff out there on Discord, just take a peek at it. Sometimes it involves you, sometimes it don't, but you might miss something good that you need to know. Just putting that out there. So, the race itself, on the other hand,
wow.
I don't even think I finished my green flag start. And the 14 car of course, I lose his name in my head now. The 14 car goes, and I think it was a money shift, but I'm hearing through Discord that apparently he had some kind of a shifting issue.
Yeah, he had a Fanatec shifter, and he shifted it to 4th, and iRacing thinks it went to 2nd. Which apparently is a known problem. I have heard other people have the same issue with the Fanatec shifters.
I wonder, Austin Hill, when I raced around him for a little bit, I don't know if he had a Fanatec shifter or not, but I know there were times where his shifter was having issues. But this was like a year or two ago when he was racing. So I wonder if that had something to do with that also.
Well, you remember back to GLSR in the truck series when we went to Motegi?
Mm-hmm.
And my car did the double shift and blew the motor up? That was also a Fanatec shifter that did that.
Interesting. No, that's why I'm good with the Logitech I've had for almost 10 years now.
Yeah, so. I got rid of it after that, and now I have one of the Thrustmaster ones.
So that was the start of the fun throughout the night. 9 cautions in the end, 19 laps, which isn't terrible. I mean, there was a lot of racing. I mean, a lot of cars. I think the one thing I caught out of it was the gearing that, and of course, Casey did some more experimenting and like, you know what, I'm going to throw this out there and hope for the best. And it looked like it kind of spread the pack out a little bit more than what you're used to in the ARCA cars. Maybe you couldn't get as big of a run,
You had to stay. It was more like next gen style, where you had to actually stay tucked up to the car in front of you. Because if you didn't have anybody behind you, you were going backwards.
So it pulled the drag. Well, the gearing obviously dragged the car back. Then engine braking almost. Okay. 25 lead changes, 9 liters. So I mean, we had good racing, had plenty of leaders. We had some cars that unfortunately became ping pong balls in the middle of the race. See Matt Telder here. As Telder and the 3 of Justin Thompson seem to be in every wreck I mentioned after about halfway. And
I like Casey. I don't agree with my getting a penalty for that giant checkup with 5 laps to go.
Trying to remember the checkup now.
You
talking the restart?
It was like not to say it was like it was like 4 or 5 laps to go, 3 laps to go. We're all coming through the tri-oval, and everything starts accordion.
Right.
And it's like, okay, if I got a penalty because he slowed down and I ran into him, why doesn't the guy behind me get a penalty for running into me simultaneously?
Right.
When I slow up. Like, that's the one thing I didn't agree with there. Like, it's Daytona, 3 laps to go. That's a racing deal. It wasn't like I just, purposely drove through him. I got hit at the same time I hit him. So it's
wait, did Kevin throw you an EOL for that?
I got a penalty for it, yeah.
Kevin
Nice.
Davis.
Great job, Kevin Davis.
I got one.
Good.
No, he didn't give me a penalty for that. I got one from the guy who reviewed everything afterwards.
Oh, probably Joseph or Casey. Because Joseph Penn is the
Joseph is the one.
Yeah, Joseph is the actual admin. Apparently it was the 190 he's not going to make. So I actually this is a whole nother story for laughter. Casey reaches out to me, goes, "You know anybody would want to?" And I kind of threw him the idea. I was like, I mean, I know that Kevin guy. And we all know Kevin Davis. And I was like, I know Kevin. Casey didn't really know him. And he's like, you know what? Reach out to him, see if he can. So I reach out to him, and little does Telder know, I actually reached out to Tyler Brewer and Sean Pigeon too. And obviously Kevin gets back to me before, so I just was like, go talk to Casey, and got the deal done, whatever. So Matt would have really hated me if the others would have been there.
Please excuse me while I leave this chat real quick.
Telder's disconnected. No, obviously the cautions, the laps. I mean, see, Miles ends up. Let me look here at the board here. You finished 6th, didn't lead a lap, but you were there. I mean, Telder led some laps and did his part, but Joseph McWhorter in I don't know what their actual team name. I guess let me go look in their chat in Discord here, see what their actual team name is. I kept calling them Harpoon Motorsports or whatever because, I mean, it was the 3 Harpoon cars. That was McWhorter, Mark Whitley, and Jonathan Smith. By the way, he's got a win in Sim500 too. Those 3 pretty much just tag team in the field. You had 2 cars up at the top lane, the others at the bottom, and they were just leading the field. And then Chris Lewis spent the last half of the race literally riding in the second lane, second car, just sitting there like, what do I do here? Not to mention props to Lewis for gaining like 20 spots on the first lap when that whole blown motor deal happens.
Yeah.
He works his way up there, and the finish for this race was 2007 Daytona 500 all over again with Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick. Basically the field wrecks behind the leaders, with Whitley looked like got in the side of Leo, I think, and takes
Leo got right hooked by somebody, whoever was behind Whitley, and came up and
got
the second and third place.
So they wipe out, and it leaves it McWhorter versus Lewis. And I thought Lewis was going to get him, because Lewis goes to make a move topside. McWhorter kind of blocks it, but then leaves the bottom wide open. And credit to Joe, because the 3 of us, tell me I'm wrong, we cut back to the bottom right there.
I don't know.
I mean, I do, because I'm just that kind of guy. It's like it's instincts. It's instincts.
If it's Lewis in my rearview mirror swaying right to the left, I'm not really trying to stay in front of him.
Well, I'm not even talking about the driver or who it is. I'm talking about more just instincts in the car. If a guy goes high, you know he's about to cross back over low. Your instincts, you're going back low.
Yeah.
So McCorder didn't do it. He actually stayed right in the middle of the track, and Lewis got to the bottom, had the run. If the start-finish line's at Talladega, he wins the race. But instead, he ends up 4 1,000ths of a second short, which I did find out was tied somehow. 3 races in All-American have the same exact distance of finish.
Wow.
And Lewis damn near went from worst to first in the race.
Yeah.
And he was the only car, by the way, in that race to have 0 incident points.
0 Yep.
So
I would have made it if I would have came out turn 4. But going back to that gearing change, if you notice, like, when you get that outside line going, you could side draft and you get that lead on the outside to drop down to the bottom. They couldn't even clear. Like, it was just basically just stuck there. And I don't think Lewis was even trying. I think he said he was just going to sit here and wait for it. And he had a shot at the end, man. Wish he would have got it.
it was close. But McCorder gets his first win in the series. And obviously, there'll be an Auto Club coming up here this coming Friday for race number 2, which is going to put on a show.
Oh, yeah.
For those cars. So that's going to be another one that's going to be tough. But this is the race that I've been wanting to talk about because I kid you not, for roughly 10 minutes before we started the podcast, we talked about this specific race that happened on Sunday. And it's a Sim500 NC811 Xfinity race that Miles was in. And this race here, obviously the 130-degree track temps, the 1 mile banking that is Phoenix, which, by the way, they did not do the legacy Phoenix. They had some setup issues, apparently, getting that track to work out, so they just went to the basic new Phoenix and went racing there. Put on a show. I mean, I don't know where to start with this thing. You had a green flag run to start for a little bit, and you have a race here that, oh, by the way, went with 7 and 8 cautions respectively in the last 2 years. So you expected this race to have cautions, and it didn't. It only had 4 when it was all said and done. And you had a good little run there at the beginning. Miles, you started, I think it was your best career start, P3.
Yeah, that was. I don't know where the lap even came from. Honestly, I watched about 3 or 4 people in practice to see how they got theirs, and they was using this unique line, man, in 3 and 4, and I did it, and I ran a 2, and the whole time I was running 5s in practice. So yeah, I picked up and got 3rd, and I mean, that was a good start to the day. I mean, that's what you have to do in the league. You have to start and run a flawless race to be able to finish up with them boys.
The one thing that I've always caught in that situation is somehow you get to a track that you're not really that good at, and you get out there and you run practice laps. It's like you just go out there and hit your marks in qualifying, and you'll find a lap that's like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense, but it does.
Okay, let me tell you how it doesn't make sense to me in my head. You can run a regular 2 laps and run a 5.
Mm-hmm.
You can run the first lap as a throwaway, downshift it a 3rd, take it to the wall, in 3 and 4, and just rev it and shift it to 4th and take it all the way down the pit road. And you can run in the corner slower than you did the first 2 laps or whatever that you run it just a regular qualifying lap, and you still pick up 3/10. Just because of that one, just how you started it, how you just downshifted, got the momentum up, and the top speed all the way to the bottom to the pit road, brought it back up and ran 3 and 4, and that's how I got that lap. I didn't do nothing different.
When you say take it to the wall, downshift to 3rd, I've seen take it to the wall, like as in you run the top of the track all the way around 3 and 4, or did you like downshift, bring it out?
I downshifted in 3rd in the middle and I
Okay.
brought it down. Like I didn't ride the wall the whole way. I turned down to the inside in the middle of the turn.
Because I've seen people there literally roll the top of the track through 3 and 4, and as soon as they hit the straightaway, they cut left.
Yeah,
So like,
that's somewhat how I did it, but I did it before. I cut left in the middle of the turn.
right. Wow.
Just to get a longer straightaway.
Right. Exactly. So
Yeah.
you're going straight and you're taking the shortest way through the dog leg and all that stuff.
And you going
Make
so
sure Telder's
shallow
okay.
when you going so shallow in the turn, you have to slow down even more, like at least 4 miles per hour than how you run if you was up there by the wall, and you still run faster qualifying time. It
That's
was just
crazy to
crazy.
think. Yeah, no kidding. But obviously Miles starts third in the race, and we go green for a little bit, and I mean, Tyler Dalton starts on the pole, leads for a short time, or actually didn't even lead for a short time because
Yeah.
Josh Parker, or who was it started? Mike Kelly started second. They come off turn 2, and Parker and him, or not Parker, Kelly and Dalton door each other. And Kelly ends up with the lead. Dalton ends up pissed. I mean, I talked to Tyler after race. He goes, I was pissed. I'm like, fair enough. So Kelly leads for a little bit. We go green. We get a caution. I don't remember the cautions, but
About 40 something, it was like 30, 40
yeah.
something.
And so obviously pit stops happened. And Steven, I'll let you explain from here.
I made my miscue because when you go on pit road and you're behind somebody, especially if they pitted a stall in front of you, well, not in front of you, behind you, when you pull into your box, you have to go through their car. And then just with my low brake bias and me not being used to it, I slid past my pit sign by the smallest margin. And it was telling me to reverse. And when I was trying to downshift the reverse to go backwards, it was just stuck in neutral. So then when I finally got in there and got my pit stop done, I went from 3rd to 9th. And
Now,
then you go ahead.
let me make you feel a little bit better here. Let me make you feel a little bit better. Phoenix is a tricky pit road. And when you get to about the 12th pit stall, I think it is, you start to turn. And you're going through 3 and 4, basically, and you come out of pit road right at the start finish line. You started 3rd. So you had the 3rd pit stall in the middle of a corner.
Yeah.
So you're trying to brake going into your pit stall that is a corner.
And I can't see my pit stop.
And you can't see your pit stall because
I'm
of the way
behind
the angle
somebody.
is.
I'm right behind this bumper. On my nose
Right.
is touching this bumper.
Now, I think what would be really cool, and I know they do this in real life, but most of the teams at a track like Phoenix will actually stick their number on the outside wall
Yeah.
of pit road so that when the driver gets to that point, they know to turn in.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a little bit of benefit of the doubt there for the mistake. I mean, it's not like you were on a straight pit road
Yeah,
for where you are.
you
But
still can make little mistakes like that.
it still hurts you though. Yes, because of the way this league is.
Long narrow pit road.
No, the pit road at Phoenix, where he obviously, well, yeah.
Oh man.
Long narrow with a slight curve to it.
I think they got meds for that. Anyways, so he falls out. He falls back to 9th, and from there, you get one other caution, and then you guys nearly go 75 green flag laps.
Yep.
And it was one of those surfaces where, with it being so hot, with it being a flat track, and the dynamic track or the refresh, whatever you want to call it, you had about 5 laps to get what you could get. And after that, you were stuck where you were. I mean, I watched Josh Parker try to come through the field, and he could only get up to like 20th. And then he would, according to Josh and him in chat after the race, he would literally cue the mic and say, I can't go any further.
Yeah. It was hot out there. I'm gonna go back to that oval refresh. It's just I'm seeing it more and more. I don't know if it's just because of these hot tracks, man, but it started off with the groove being on the bottom in 3 and 4 and in the middle of 1 and 2. Like just straddle in the middle, get that little diamond in the corner and get that run off. Or some people even stand on the bottom and try to save tires. That's what I was doing, thinking I was saving tires. And then as long as the race went, you couldn't really catch the bottom in 3 and 4. You have to ride the seam or the second groove because you have too much wheel and have too much tire spin on the exit, so you'll be loose on the exit even more. And then in 3 and 4, you had to run up to the wall. You had to let the car drift all the way up to the wall. It was like basically a mini Dover in 3 and 4. Like you had to go up to the wall to get the angle and diamond it and come out the exit. And if you stayed on the bottom, I mean, you didn't have no exit speed, so you were just stuck there, or you were gonna get freight train on the outside, just like Vegas. So
Well, what they were doing is you guys were making the straightaway longer, is what you were
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
To keep the wheel spin from happening. So yeah, so that gets so 75 laps, and there's a few people that come to pit road because I knew you guys were close on fuel. I actually pulled Mike Kelly into the booth during the run. I said, "Hey, how you guys on fuel?" And he said that he was 2 laps to the good, which I don't know if he was bluffing me or if he was being honest.
I think he'll
Uh,
be honest.
okay, and so caution comes out late, and it sets up one of the wildest Phoenix finishes I have ever seen. We end up going to overtime, and Mac McMillan ends up winning this race. Now, here's the crazy part. Everybody comes to pit road, except for one car, Larry Pace, who stays out, which I'm like, you know what? Part of me likes this move. Part of me doesn't. Then I'm like, and I say this on the broadcast, I'm like, who tries 2 tires here? You've got 25 cars on the lead lap here. Try 2 tires, see if you gain track position. Why not? Especially if you're in the back. What do you got to lose? You're going to finish where you finished. So you get Josh Parker and I forget the other car that takes 2 tires. And they gain a lot of track position, start up there towards the front. Green flag comes out, Larry gets eaten up. And McMillan ends up winning the race. But back at about 6th through 15th is this hornet's nest of cars. And if you get a chance, go watch this on YouTube. By the way, take the time to do this. A 1 mile track turns into Daytona with cars everywhere in this wad racing clean. You get to the final lap. There's cars in front that are wrecking behind or in front of them. There's cars behind them wrecking. Meanwhile, this whole wad is going through turn 1 and 2, totally clean and in a pack of 3 and 4. Down the back straightaway in that same old pack. And here, Miles, by the way, is at the bottom of the pack. And they come across the line 3 or 4 wide to finish the race. And I'm like, how did they do that? And unfortunately for you, Miles, you finished, 15th?
Yeah, that caution right there. I was running 11th, I think. I couldn't get EJ for 10th, man, and that caution came out, and I was happy as I don't know what.
Did you fence him, by the way?
No, I didn't fence him.
Okay, I was checking. I thought I saw him hit the fence.
Oh no, he probably hit the fence on his own, but no time I ever like fenced him. I know better than that, especially when he already complimented me last race. So but after that caution or whatever, when we got those tires, I didn't want to take too much fuel, wanted to keep it tight, and took those 4 tires. And when we restarted, I knew being on the bottom, I had to take that short way around. I had to go to that by the pit lane, and when I did, I slid up to the middle to try to use most of the track to get the run off, and Bob just threw it 3 wide on me. And I'm like, oh man, so I'm gonna be 3 wide going in 3 and 4. And then I let him go trying to get to the bottom, and somebody else take me 3 wide. I think it was a 42. And I literally let off
who's 42?
It was a 42 Haviland car. I forgot what it was.
Oh, the 28, Doy Woods.
Oh yeah, the 28. And so I let off and coming back to the white flag, and I took the run again to go to the bottom, and I swear I was about 7th. I felt it, but second place car got doored.
Chad Coleman.
Chad Coleman.
Yep.
He got doored and he saved it. But in my eyes, I'm looking at him and I'm thinking he's gonna go at least back above like the yellow line. He's gonna stay low, but he's gonna stay
That's
right
right. This
there.
is you made that move. I just remembered now.
Because I'm already down there committed, full throttle, and
Hey,
because I'm trying to get a top 10 no
Tyler,
matter
your boy
what.
was in Scottsville in
And
1 and 2. He was at the
I,
bottom.
they was 3 wide. I had to make a move somewhere and get to the inside and try to slide up or something, but he decided at the last second to keep it below the yellow, and my right front clipped him and it instantly broke. So the rest of the lap, I mean, I was just trying to stay out the way and just turn far as left as I could, but stay in the throttle. And we were just bumping into each other, 3 wide through the corner, and then the next corner, and it was wild, man. I just can't believe nobody spun out a wreck. It was just like
Oh,
it just
people spun out
shows.
wreck. You just didn't see it.
Yeah, well, in our group, nobody wrecked. Out of
Right.
our 7, 8 cars, nobody wrecked, and it was just crazy how we was able to cross the line and everybody decided then to start wrecking. But
Well, that was one of those. McMillan wins the race, right? And he was coming, and it was so close. He comes off turn 4, and he never lets off. So his tires are spinning, and it's a drag race to the line. He crosses the line, goes through the dog leg, and his car just loses it right in front of everybody. And that's where you see people just plow into him, and turns into a mess. But it was a wild one there Sunday. So great job to Mac winning his second straight race. Miles keeps fighting, 6th in points now as they go. They get a week off next week because apparently there's a big football game. And then you guys go to Atlanta. I don't know if it's a new or old Atlanta. Is it Legacy Atlanta?
It's Legacy Atlanta.
Oh, boy. So
Hot Atlanta.
So say you're from there. You can't say Hot Atlanta, right?
It's crazy because he have on here February the 11th. He has he has like a event up there. He must have made a mistake.
He does that. Sometimes that happens.
All right.
But great race there in the end. With 43 cars made that race. Brent Scott finished last. He didn't even make it through the dog leg of turn 1 or of lap 1. Anyways, so there you go. League racing all covered. That's what we got. So it's you got next week. It's TI at Old Atlanta, which is practice is going up any minute. And I think the reason why you've not heard from Telder is he's actually out there running laps right now, trying to get a hand.
He's not up yet.
You notice we haven't heard from Telder in the last couple minutes?
He probably
tell me
is.
I don't know where he's at.
Yeah.
Thursday, the new Atlanta for TI. And then Wednesday, obviously, is off because there's no GLSR. Sim500 Sunday is off because of the Super Bowl. Monday is qualifying for the Daytona 500K. But by the way, the first 2 spots are already locked in. Tyler Dalton winning his first pole in the 500K. So congrats to him. All Americans at Auto Clubs. So that's what we got coming up there. So there you go, a recap of the week of league racing. And I think it's time we bring in Kevin Inglin, who broadcast with me on Monday nights in the Sim500 NC811 Cup Series season. Kevin, welcome in, man. It feels like it's been like forever since we've been in the booth together. Something like that.
It feels like a year.
Doesn't it? I mean, 2023 wraps up in Sim500's NC811 Cup Series, and we're ready to go again. As a matter of fact, Monday night was the Clash race, and then, of course, this week we're going to have qualifying, and then coming up the following Monday after the Daytona 500, the real one, will be the Daytona 500K. But first, Sim500. Obviously, this series, a 35 race schedule that puts the best against the best. All ovals. There's no road courses at all. But these guys have settings in their races that literally bring the drivers out each and every week. Let's dissect a little bit here, Kev. What Sim500 is, especially from you being in the driver's seat. Where do you perceive Sim500 is for those who don't know this league?
Sim500's OG.
Well, there you go.
That's kind of the way I see it. I've been racing since Bill Elliott's NASCAR Challenge, and we've talked about this on a couple of occasions. As one of the first leagues out there, and the longest running leagues is Sim500. And you look at people who ran NASCAR 1, NASCAR IndyCar before there was NASCAR games, and some of those folks like Mike Kelly, for example, are here. Chad Coleman, and it's really kind of like a culmination community, but competitive spirit, this league. There's a lot of guys that are great friends, but they'll crash their mother to win.
Yeah, that is
That
true.
kind of spells it out, and you're not going to slide in here and run top 5 or even top 10 unless you got some chops, and it's competitive friendly.
It is, and they bring, like I said, the best out of you because they set up their races every week to run with the hottest track temperature you can think of on iRacing. And when I say that, is you usually will see track temps up around 140 degrees with the sun out, and you're driving on a slick track like the old Atlanta Motor Speedway or Las Vegas or something, and your cars are just going everywhere. We've watched the Vegas race the last couple of years. Seems to be one of the best shows in these Cup cars with the the slickness of the track, and now with the oval refresh that comes into play here. Give me some expectations here for these cars on a slick track like that, say like Vegas or Auto Club or Michigan, in this kind of weather.
It's one of those things where can be feisty. You just don't know. Every once in a while, everybody's really up on the wheel and they're not giving quarter. And then we could turn around and have a absolutely yellow free race, and it would be competitive. Sometimes they run on top of each other by the dynamic. You have no idea why. And other times somebody might leg it out and go get it. Every race has its own character, and there are never a shortage of storylines in each of the races as to somebody coming from the back or somebody getting in trouble. And we watch every race right from the beginning of the year through to the championship like it's a championship hunt because they matter. And competition is pretty amazing. The skill of these guys and how they can run side by side and run in slick track and run different grooves and all that stuff. It's as close to any of the professional series that I've seen for a regular everyday league, which is approachable to anyone.
Now, this series obviously has its own website. It has it races every night of the week. I mean, from Monday nights, of course, the Cup Series. Sunday night, we're already 5 races into the Xfinity Series, which is presented by 811 also. You got the Trans-Service Truck Series. You've got a GOAT Series, which is the partner series of Sim500. It runs on Thursdays. They just released their schedule a little bit ago for this week. That starts at Daytona. And then you have Friday night, there's a Midnight Thunder Series, which is basically a super speedway series, lack thereof, mostly super speedway tracks. But I know the Midnight Thunder is more supposed to be the fun side of Sim500, where people just go out there and just have a good old time. But then, of course, they come back into Sunday. Saturday night's another GOAT Series racing and back into Sunday. So these guys race every night of the week. There are people on here. I'm looking at the numbers right now in this series. You got people here with over 1,000 starts. There's 2 drivers now with over 1,000 series starts. One being Chad Coleman, the other being E.J. O'Rourke. Scott Simley's coming up on 1,000 altogether here very shortly. And then, of course, Joey Jatina. But then you've got drivers. I was just kind of peeking through, like trying to find some random names in here that have made starts in here. How about Myatt Snyder? He has made a start in here. Parker Kligerman has raced in this series before. Of course, we have Donnie Leah, who's ran races before. Some captain guys ran a few races and even somehow wrecked the field to win a race at Talladega once. I just
why does that not surprise me?
You should have known better by now. Hey, it's just bowling. It's all I was doing that one day. But I mean, any kind of name has been around this series. You mentioned the names. I mean, there are, according to league stats here, and there's probably names missing. There are 1,242 drivers that have started a race in this series.
That is wild to me too. Like the fact that you say like it's been around that long, like congratulations to you, Kevin. Like that's awesome. And to put this into perspective for other people, I've been iRacing for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I run a lot of races, a lot of leagues. In total, I have 932 starts in 4 years. And there's people that have been in this league for 1,000 starts.
Right, and that's all together, not just one side, like one series. That's all like 7 nights, right?
Yeah, but I mean that's the same as my iRacing profile. It's like I have 932 total starts across all oval series.
Blake McCandless on this list. Mario Miranda, he's been out there dominating the college series. He's on this list. You know him well, Telder.
Yep.
By the way, I saw Ken Zames too on here. Side note for Telder.
Yep, know that name too.
If it's a short track name, Kev, Telder knows that. So, but let's talk about the season, because we come up on Daytona and we have something that to this day I cannot even fathom. I know, Telder, I've asked you this question. I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. I've asked Miles the question, but we got a guy that has a chance to win 4 straight Daytona 500-kilometer races in Brian Macklin. I mean, he's got a legit chance of doing this again.
I've won a few Daytona races, not to that extent of a length either. The ability to not only not die multiple times in a row is, hard enough in itself. We all know that, how hard those plate races are. But to not only not die in 3 straight races, to then take it into a victory circle for 3 straight races. I don't think a lot of people understand what kind of accomplishment that truly is in any league aspect, any official aspect.
I mean, no drivers won the Daytona 500 in real life, the Indy 500 in real life, any of the big races you can think of, other than, unless your name's Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, or I'll give it time, it'll be Verstappen. You're probably not winning 3 of anything in a row in racing. Am I wrong, Kev, there? I mean, this is pretty big what Brian's doing.
It's unheard of. You know how hard it is when you're trying to get yourself in position at the end of the race to even be a factor.
Yeah. Because remember, last year's race went green for a long time. It was down to like 4 guys running for the win.
It's one of the strangest things, too, because if you look at the history of Brian Macklin racing, he's not, he wins his races, don't get me wrong, but he's hit or miss. He tends to get in trouble, but for whatever reason, the genie has come out of the bottle for him, and he's just unstoppable at Daytona. And it's not only Daytona 500 kilometer, any of the plate races I've ever seen him run. He's there. He's like a whisperer of the wind or something. I'm not sure what he does, but he should never change where he sits and what he eats and whatever other, things you do in order to come into that race with the same mindset that he's had over the last couple of years, because he's unbeatable.
He, last year, of course, was a little controversial. The whole move with Calantoni and obviously a little bit of contact. Calantoni goes around, which pretty much leaves him to drive to the finish line by himself. But still, a win's a win. Doesn't matter how you do it. Just get to the checkered flag first, and that's what he did in the season. So a couple other names I've come across while we've been just sitting there talking to each other for just reference. Christopher Bell's made a start in this series. Josh Berry has made a start in this series. Let's see who else. Justin Bolton, who's a former Coke driver. One I've got a chance to race back when he was like a kid online, not in the Coke series. I'm not that good, as we know. But that's just, a couple more names as I'm just clicking on the next button and seeing what names I can.
Brian Keselowski in there, and
David Shieldhouse. There's a name.
Yep, David. Started racing with him way back in the beginning. Yeah, there's names that are in the second tier that people would recognize as accomplished sim racers in there too, not just notable, true racing stars, but
Brandon Hastings, he's a crew member in the truck series now. He used to work with Penske's Xfinity team. I know that name. There's a couple of Hal names in here that somebody might know well. There's there's another Inglin in here. Corey, who's that?
That is my nephew.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, ran a race.
So, I mean, the who's who of people, I've only gotten to 375 out of 1,200. So, needless to say, the who's who have been here, and that just shows you just what Joey and what everybody has done from the time you guys were on NR 2003 into the beginning of this whole entire series. But before we go, and of course, getting ready for the season, I've kind of thrown Telder some questions for us, you and I, so we can kind of put some predictions out there. We can revisit this back in when's our last race, like December, to see how we did. On.
So, question number 1. Who is your surprise driver in the 24 Cup Series this year?
I'll let you go first, Kev.
I'm going to say Eric Arnold. Eric Arnold. I don't know what it is about Eric. He just kind of is always somewhere in that top 10, and every once in a while he finds speed that's ungodly and just surges. And if I had to pick a surprise winner this year, somebody who's going to break out somewhere just out of the blue, it's Eric Arnold in the number 31.
I like that. He's the Mr. Excitement of the Sim500 series, Telder. Let's put that out there. He is you in that series.
That name is trademarked for.
Sorry, I'm comparison. I wasn't trying to use your name here. So he's Mr. Another word for excitement. There you go. So I'm not good with cinnamons right now. So anyways, let's see. For me,
who you got?
Wesley Donaldson.
Okay.
Wesley has been on the verge. He's had some great runs. And I think, I'm looking back at some of his numbers from last year as, he's just kind of getting going in the series. He's been around for, I think this is going to be his like second full season because he was one of the guys that came over in the merge with GOAT. But, he started all 36 races last year. He had 14 top 10s, 7 top 5s, just missed victory lane. He led some laps and had some bad luck at times. But I feel like he's getting better and better. And I think you're going to eventually see that 91 maybe sneak in victory lane.
All right. So now that you both have your surprise driver, is there somebody different that is going to be a new winner this season?
I can't pick Wesley again, can I?
You get to go first.
Oh man. Yeah, I would that's such an easy category to say Wesley there too, but I'm not going to go there. Let me get you a different name for that one because tough choices here. Give me. He actually hasn't won a race on the Cup side yet, so Tyler Dalton. I'll go with him.
Yeah, that's a softball.
Sorry, when I'm sitting there wasted
No,
time,
but it's a good one.
I mean, it's either if outside of that, Nelson Rivera. Give me that one.
Yeah, I know mine. Charles Van Schaik.
Ooh, nice.
I think Charles has shown a lot of speed at different racetracks. His consistency is up, and sooner or later he's going to put himself in the position, and he's going to do it. I think this is his season. He's been coming quietly, stealthy, but I think it's time for that 23 to break into victory lane.
He was a playoff driver too last season.
Yeah, that's how it goes, right? Little improvements.
Walk before you run.
And as somebody who has never really seen any of the races here, like be honest, I've caught a few broadcasts here and there when I'm just not browsing online. But as somebody who's never raced in this league, I have heard all about the track sessions and how hot it is and stuff like that. These two people that both of you just picked for both these questions, I have no doubt they are probably top tier drivers. Both of them are, or all four of them are. Because I've listened to Miles that has come over there and run in the Sunday night series. And I know that how skillful that driver is.
Yeah.
And when that dude is out there aiming for a top 10, coming off of winning a championship in another Xfinity series that, has a pretty high level of caliber of talent, I'm sure that was it's one of those, all four of those were probably difficult picks in the sense of they probably should have all won races by now. Or been a standout, stuff like that.
No,
Tyler Dalton.
Yeah, well,
he wins half the polls of the season. Why he's not racking off wins? He just needs to figure out how to put the beginning, the middle, and the end together. But he certainly got enough speed.
Tyler Dalton has more polls than probably Telder, myself, Miles, Kevin. I'll probably throw you in there. And I mean, just total polls altogether. And Dalton's probably still got his beat somehow. The guy's just that fast in qualifying.
He's so much faster than you could take half the league and count their polls and they don't get to him.
Yeah, no, that's such a true story. I'm actually going to jump in right now to see the stats for him when it comes to career polls in this series.
I'll go one step further. Not only is it the first win, it's a breakout. he's going to rack off 3 or 4.
Yeah.
When he gets that first one,
Mm-hmm.
he's been so close. You know, we've not talked about the dynamic track and how that's going to play out.
Yeah, that oval
and
refresh.
One thing about Tyler is he does a lot of work for the league in the background, running the setups, testing the tracks, getting the servers going. And if anybody has the mental fortitude to figure out what the dynamic track's going to do in this car, it's going to be Tyler. So I think in a roundabout way, that's almost a safe bet for you.
All right. So according to this page right here, according to the Sim Racer Hub, he's at 184 polls right now. So next person's at 122.
I have career wins in this.
Right. That's now. By the way, that's 586 starts and 184 polls. That's an average of where's that number? So 31%.
I'll say it's got to be right around 30% at that point.
Yeah.
So that just says enough right there about how Tyler can be, and he's already got a win on the Xfinity side. And speaking of Miles, obviously. That race he was in last night in the Sunday night in the Xfinity race, that I can only imagine the anger in his eyes. He finished like, I forget, it was like 15th or something like that, and he was like 4 to 5 wide for the whole green white checker run going around Phoenix. Figure that one out, Telder. So
you got a dog leg. I try not to figure it out.
Yeah, that's true. Don't put him around dog legs. All right.
I have a question for you, Chris. Who's going to win this year? You know, we had Pedro was a multi-time winner.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Josh Parker was a multi-time winner, but there were a lot of different winners, unusual ones and typical ones. Who's going to win this year and who goes without?
So so you're just saying drivers who are going to win races this season?
Just run down the list of everybody.
My gosh.
On the thing. And unfortunately, Cody Giles, Joey Stone, Nick Jobs, Patrick Colby,
we don't know
all the other people. We don't know them. So there's a wild card in this, in that any one of those drivers could be ace in the hole and come out and rack off a couple wins. But go through the regular cast of characters and tell me who gets a win this year.
Mike Kelly, Scott Simley, I could put him on that list.
Mm-hmm.
Dalton, Jose Gonzalez, Brian Macklin, Chad Coleman, who hasn't won since Talladega 22.
Mm-hmm.
To Glenn Campbell, if he does what he did last year. Another surprise here, Jimmy Coleman. If he runs all the races, he might be one that sneaks up and grabs one.
Okay.
Josh Parker, Wesley Donaldson, Kevin Brown. I'm at the bottom of the list.
All right, I'll go down through that list, and I did this pick same. I agree. Mike Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Wetzel could sneak in and get
one.
When he's there, he's fast.
Beasley at Super Speedway.
Beasley for Super Speedway, so can't count him out. You missed David Comstock. He's going to win this year.
He's going to hate me.
Tyler Dalton, I agree with you. I think Jose gets 2 this year.
Okay.
Kevin King is going to win a race. Kevin King, back after finishing 25th for Junior Motorsports in the 2023 Coke Series. I'm not sure if he's running full-time, but when Kevin shows up, you know he's going to be on the wheel. Of course, this week or wherever, Macklin's going to win Daytona.
Put him down for 4.
The story of the year is Pedro is going to be part-time. And that's disappointing that he's not going to be able to come and defend his title. But you know when he shows up, he's going to be here to win. Josh Parker, can't count Josh out. I think not only is Wesley Donaldson going to win, I think he's in the Final 4.
Ooh, I like it. I
have seen such a surgence from that guy in everything he races. His racecraft is amazing.
Yeah.
And he's the sleeper for a champion this year.
Yeah, he's got Jason up there spotting for him, too. I know we know him as Atomic Burrito in chat.
And Kevin Brown he shows up, no practice, or it seems that way, and he's always fast. And, you know, we've not talked about the dynamic of teammates.
Yeah.
Team-wise, that team just, you know, they took a look into the competition last year. And whenever Kevin shows up, I almost feel like because of who he's surrounded in, he runs as good. And we've not talked about EJ O'Rourke. I don't know if he's going to pop in every once in a while. Some of these guys are officially on the roster, but eventually some folks sneak in and, you know, there's a couple. I'm cheating. That might sneak in here every once in a while, but Chad Coleman. He's in a Kevin Harvick-esque situation. I think he's going to win this year.
Wait, is he joining our booth? Is there something I don't know?
No. I'm just saying. You said April 22. I think is the last
Talladega,
one.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he's starting to. I think he struggled a lot last year because he had a new setup.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he finally got a handle on that. And this is the year, now that he's stabilized his rig situation and is a little more comfortable with how that works. I think he's going to figure it out. Come summertime, he's going to Tony Stewart these guys and put a couple wins on the board.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it. Did we cover everything, Telder? I'm going to take that as a yes. I know he's got a league race he's getting ready for, too.
I'm sitting here yelling at my mic, and I muted it real quick.
I'm glad I'm not the one that does that on the air.
No, I have one more question.
All right.
I'm going to modify it from the original question I had. My original question was going to be, who is your pick as champion? But I'm going to change that to, do you think your champion this season will be one of the new guys that you guys don't know about, or a returning driver? And who is your pick for that?
I'm going returning driver, and I'm going Tyler Dalton.
Tyler Dalton. He's going to smile at that one.
Yeah. No, that or he's going to hate me because all the times I interviewed him before the race.
I'm going to just have fun with this. Why not Anthony Calantoni?
Yeah. That's another, how did I totally missed him. That's another surprise winner potentially.
Just because I want to say names
too.
that we haven't talked about. I love Joe Hudson. The guy's fast. Glenn Campbell, Mr. Transervice. There to win. But if somebody's here to try and he'll find a way to get to the championship and then put somebody like Anthony Calantoni in the championship, and don't be surprised if he finds a way to upset everybody.
That's another winner potentially on a super speedway is Calantoni.
Yeah.
So both your picks are returning drivers then.
Returning drivers. It is. I no disparaging to any of these folks who show up, and I see a couple of them in there that I know that are going to be decent. But it takes a little something to get in here and mix it up with these regulars. And I don't know. Maybe you could speak a little to this, Chris. When you get in amongst the regulars, you need to find that acceptance first. It's hard to do in a first season. If you get up there and somebody has a choice to draft with you or leave you hang out, they're going with the regular.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's what Miles, has talked about on the podcast here plenty. He said his first year here in the, when he runs the 811 Xfinity Series, he said that his goal is just to go out there and get respect, just earn respect. And, I think he's doing a good job of that so far. But yeah, you go to a super speedway as a new.
He's doing a pretty good job of that.
So yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
But some of them don't care, and that's the kind I like. Let's pick a Joey Stone. Maybe Joey is like hammered down. I don't care. I'm not here to make friends. I want to win.
Wonder if he's related to Kevin.
Joey Stone, man, I'm coming for you. I don't know Joey Stone from Adam, but he could be the one this time. Or Nick Jobs, or okay, we were going to try something here.
I know where you're going with this.
49. You go first.
Rodoloso?
Rodoloso. Yeah, okay. All right. I think you nailed that one. I'll try 60. Carl Lavage.
Close. It's Carl Lavage. Yeah.
Carl Lavage.
Mm-hmm. Well done.
That's the fun part of the season where you pick these names and you're like slaughter them for a while, and then you get on Discord with one of them and he goes, "My name is actually."
Yeah, and I'm like, Samsonite. I was way off. Just way off.
Robert Friery. I still can't say his name.
Yeah,
very
no
well.
Kidding. Kev, we're gonna jump off here and go get ready. We're recording this right before the Clash race at Daytona, so we're gonna go do that broadcast and go from there. And obviously, looking forward to this week. We got qualifying next week, which Kevin has decided he's gonna go watch a hockey game, and we'll come back for the 500 on the 19th.
All right, Skala. I thought of another question though.
Oh, what we got?
All right, so both of you have given your surprise drivers, your new winners, your pick for champions. Both say returning drivers. Does one of these new guys coming in shock the world and win a race this year?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kevin King, I think is I think the easy branch, I guess, if you will, out there.
Well, he's a new old guy. He's run with us a couple seasons, but
no, we're talking the new ghosts that are coming in now.
There's so many opportunities during the season. And I'm not saying they're going to luck into it. Some of these guys are going to be, they're here. They're here and they're going to be good. And they're going to find their night.
I think he's having to pick it. Oh man, throwing stones here, or throwing a dart almost, if you will. I will go with Dustin Hall, the one car. Something tells me.
When they pick a single number,
I can support that pick.
Something like out of all the names, there's you always got to look, and there's that one that grabs you. Some reason my eyes keep going back to Dustin Hall.
All right, and one last question for Kevin.
Wait, I'm going to pick Adam Benefield.
I think that's low hanging fruit. If that's the same Adam I know.
I don't know him, but I think I know him. I don't, like you said, there's some kind of in the back of your mind, something's registered.
Right.
That you know that name, but you don't know that name. I don't know that name, but that's my guy.
What do you got, Telder? Called you 4 names.
So Kevin's gonna be our first one to do this. Because I think this is something we need to do with every one of our interviewees here. Car track combo. It's the only one you can do for the rest of your iRacing career. What is it?
I am going with the Cup car at Kansas.
Which Cup car though? The current one?
The new one. The current one.
You do like that setup. I do remember that.
I just love that track. I love coming off the corner in turn 4, turning the thing down, floating it down into turn 1. Honorable mention, and people will roll their eyes.
Oh, geez.
New Hampshire. I absolutely love driving New Hampshire. When you roll down into 1 and you're trying to skate through that corner and hold as much grip to drive off to the backstretch, no better experience in iRacing.
I'm surprised you're not saying that's in a modified.
I don't know. There's something a little more forgiving for the lack of talent that I have in an car. It tends to suit my style. We did not talk about, and I'm sorry if this.
Yeah, you're fine.
Late models, the late model series at Sim500.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
The capital THEE, the best series. I'm telling you, amazing racing, side by side, nose to tail. Oh, and the tracks that they choose, like Old Charlotte and whatever, by far the best. Amazing.
So basically, Taylor, each time I was on Tuesday night, they ran a super late model car, super speedway style. So like Talladega, Daytona, Michigan,
I have
Kansas.
Taken in a few of those races.
Yeah, that I know that I was gonna say the way the cars just draft and everything just makes it fun.
The way they draft, the way you could drive up on somebody, you could run door to door, you could bang. If you damage a car a little bit, it's still competitive. It's like a real car. Like the real late models, the way they mix it up. When you watch them on Flow or whatever, and then you get in that car, you feel like you're racing in the actual late model series at North Wilkesboro that they put on or something like that. There's just something about the car combination amazing. And they look great. The brakes are cool. I mean, a lot of the physics and dynamics of that car, the way the engine sounds, it's the full package. Best in the sim.
I'm not one that you need to sell on the super late model.
Yeah, this guy here, you put a super late model at 5 flags and he might lap the field.
Yeah, I'm in.
I run
Plus, if you go back and
every year for the Winter Derby, I run every single time slot.
He does.
In the fixed.
He does.
My oldest brother ran Flemington Speedway in a late model very similar to those cars. And my paint scheme is in honor of him. He passed away, and the car looks exactly the same as that car. So it's also special for me to go out there and race that car. It has a different meaning and connection to me. But just looking at somebody is Joe Hudson's running the 112, which, if you know anything about them, was made famous by Gary Ballou. And it's just kind of cool to see some of the heritage that some of these guys did too with their paint schemes. So But still, if I really, really had to pick the top one, it's a next gen at Kansas.
It's too bad you'll never get Flemington on iRacing, huh?
We used to have it in N203. And people
when the
used to
trucks
say to
ran
me,
there.
how the heck do you drive that racetrack? But I figured it out. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was a flat. It's almost a negative bank surface, isn't it?
It was square too, which is really strange because the track was a square if you look at the overheads. But it was different because when the track was narrow down the front stretch and into turn 1 and 2, it opened up on the back stretch, and 3 and 4 the track was really wide. So the different, I'll pick a word, azimuth that you use to get through the corner and how far you could float it out to the wall and the actual amount of English you put to turn into the corner, nothing like it. I mean, the closest that I could think of is Nashville Fairgrounds and maybe driving, I don't know, North Carolina racetrack, Rockingham, when you're coming off the corner and the straightaway narrows up.
Mm-hmm.
You really.
What are we talking about again? I must have
Flemington in New
Flemington
Jersey
Speedway, which is my hometown, Flemington, New Jersey. If you go back into YouTube and search Flemington Speedway Craftsman Truck and watch the races from there, you'll never see anything like it.
Okay, I do know what track this is. Okay,
he had to go look it up.
Yeah, I had to I thought I knew what it was, but I had to go refresh my memory here.
The speed that they carried on that racetrack when it was paved was scary. The super modifieds there, incredible. And they would go off in the corner, and if they missed the corner, they would slide out like Oswego Speedway and hit the foam blocks, and the blocks would just explode, and it would be snowing in summertime. I was part of the rescue crew there, and it was incredible to see how fast they got around that racetrack.
Super mods are wild cars. Yeah. I get to watch them come to our local track here twice a year. So
forgot to get Kevin back to do a get to know him segment like we've been doing with our drivers. So that'd be a fun short track talk about. I'll have Telder and Kevin have their own segment together. So.
What was your track? You didn't say track and car combo, Christopher.
Mine? Oh gosh,
Mr. Super Speedway.
Oh my gosh!
Did I say that out loud?
It's okay.
We know it isn't anything that involves a bus stop. So.
Thank you. That limits Daytona Spa. Let's see.
The Roval?
No. Though I would. You know what? I guess just so he can, so I don't waste our time anymore. Probably be right now the Cup car at Charlotte. I know it's basic, but like there's something about Charlotte and the feel of that track I just love. Just being able to go down on the paint there and just run that bottom side. I mean, I haven't had a chance really to run it up against the wall. I mean, you put that car, the COT, almost any of the Cup cars or any car. Just seems like at Charlotte, I seem to find the best in me. And then, of course, there's that one lap, the worst in me.
People talk about Daytona, and they love to laud Indy and whatever, but I don't think Charlotte gets its props as the racetrack that everybody goes to and says, man, this place is historic. In the sim, when you're participating racing, I don't think Charlotte gets its props. Good choice.
Yeah. I try. So, Kevin Inglin, appreciate it, man. Obviously, Monday nights we'll be on with him and I for the Sim500 NC811 Cup Series, and we're going to have to get Kev on to do a little get to know, and we could talk about his racing career at Flemington and his nights at Wall Stadium and wherever else he's been in the mods.
Come on down. I'll be happy to come back. You tell
Absolutely,
me.
Man. Absolutely, man. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate Kevin for joining us here tonight as we preview the Sim500 811 Cup Series season as finale. Let's talk a little bit about the Netflix release that just came out last week. Of course, the show, the NASCAR show that was released on the 30th. I have not had a chance to see it. I know Telder hasn't had a chance to see it. But from those I've talked to, positive reviews. I mean, I think a lot of people went in with kind of the perception that I had, which is here comes another NASCAR reality show. It's going to be the same as every other one, but it actually stood out. And I think there were a couple people in the actual show that stood out above them all. And from what I read, Booty Barker, the crew chief for Bubba Wallace, apparently has a pretty big personality and ends up being a big part of that show. I think Denny Hamlin, they said, ended up being a big part of the show. But
I don't want to spoil
yeah,
it for you.
but
I watched 4 episodes, and I tell you this, it's gonna have you kind of hooked like the Formula One Netflix show on the slick.
look at this. You see this?
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, I'm throwing this out. I'm throwing Telder to the bus here. He literally sends the podcast picks to us in Discord right now. He literally has all of his picks already done for the whole entire season.
What?
No, that's
No, he don't. It's still open. He got Skala, Miles, Telder right there. It's still all open. He just got choose as the first winner for the Clash.
Yeah, but look to the far left.
That's drivers that we could pick.
Yeah, that's the entire driver roster.
Oh, all right.
Our picks.
I was going to say, it looked like to me you were picking your drivers already. I'm like, Jesus, Telder.
Kaz Gartler? No. There ain't no pick right there. There ain't no pick right there.
Oh, you'll be surprised who I picked for the 500.
Oh, Chicago Street. I'm going SBG. Oh yeah.
But depends on what you finished the week before that.
Right.
I know, but I know who I'm gonna get.
So, Telder, obviously, what have you been hearing for people from the Netflix show?
I've heard nothing but good feedback from it. I have not heard a single person talk negatively about it. So
there you go. So
Denny is the main character of this story,
which is not surprising because he's starting to become. Well, he's been.
You see the character, like you see most of the drivers is in there. You see the character that how they race and just like Joey. Oh my god, it's just crazy how I watched the Netflix special and then I watched the Clash and it fits it. It's crazy. And I'm just imagining Denny won the Clash, like he's just gonna be talking even more smack. It's crazy.
Well, he did at the end. He said, "I beat your favorite driver again."
Yeah, again.
It's gonna become a T-shirt. Nah, that's cool. So if I get a chance to this week, maybe I'll hop in there and watch an episode or two. But apparently, Booty Barker and Denny Hamlin, the two main characters, it sounds like to check out. So, all right. Last but not least, here, Super Bowl picks. I cannot pick because I'm a Kansas City fan. Now, if you say the team in red, we're gonna have a problem.
Is it gonna be a Taylor Swift Super Bowl?
Well, no, she's got a concert in Japan the night before.
Or is it gonna be a Brock Purdy Super Bowl? I just don't. It's hard to go against Pat Mahomes, man.
Your Eagles beat them.
Yeah, but that was in the middle of the season. Andy Reid in prime form right now. I can't go with 49ers because that's my brother's team, and he gonna rub it in my face. Cause I'm gonna go. Dang it, Skala. I don't even want to pick nobody, man. I go with Kansas City.
On the line here, just for fun.
Well, just for fun, I go 49ers.
There you go.
just for fun, I go 49ers.
Done.
Telder.
I think Chiefs win it. I don't want them to, but I think they do.
Chiefs because 49ers beat his Lions. I knew he was gonna do that.
No, we're gonna take out my elf and tinfoil hat here for a minute.
Look out now.
They are not gonna let Mahomes lose the Super Bowl. There's gonna be horrible officiating. We're gonna see Taylor Swift miraculously make it to the Super Bowl in 4 hours from a 9-hour flight. And yeah, it's just gonna be. I don't want the Chiefs to win, but I think they're gonna be the team to win.
All right, we'll see.
So here's some irony to the whole thing.
San Francisco is not that good of a team, in my opinion.
Oh no, I think San Francisco got more weapons than Kansas City right now.
I just hope it's a game. I'm at the point where I don't really care who wins either way, because but.
So you think it's gonna be a close game, 3 points, or 7 or 10? Which one?
I'll bet it's a 10-point game, but I bet it's a 40-30 game.
Oh wow.
40 to 30.
Somewhere in there.
I'm gonna stick in the 20s. I think they're gonna stay in the 20. Like it's
I'm
gonna be
thinking
like
45, 35 or something like that, or 45,
nah.
48.
It's not gonna be no shootout like that. I can't see that. Think about it, bro. Nah, I can't see that. They defense is Spagnola and all them, bro. They ain't gonna let that happen. I think it's gonna be like 27 to 21 or something like that. It's gonna be close.
It's not going to be in the 30s or 40s, but we're going to go with 20s though.
I'm gonna stay in the 20s.
So, two biggest losers in this when you think of the irony to all this. The city of Las Vegas, because it's home of the Raiders, the team that formerly lived next to San Francisco, and their big rivals, Kansas City. And Jimmy Garoppolo, who is now the quarterback of the Raiders,
Ugh.
whose
forgot about
49ers, his old team, is now in the game again against the team he lost the Super Bowl to 3 years ago.
That's wild.
Just throwing it out there. So, all right. We're going to wrap it up. Big shout out to Kevin Inglin for joining us on the podcast this week. As we're already 5 episodes deep, guys.
Really?
Yeah.
This
is number 5.
Yeah, it's number 5.
We're closing in on the Kardashian Chris Humphrey's wedding date of time. There's only 72 days, Miles. I feel the same way. Anyways, yeah, shout out to Kevin. Shout out to Telder and to. Did we even, by the way, look up hosted races or official races?
We did not do that this week. We'll have to double up next week.
Oh, well, I just beat you to one. Sprint Car Cups at Slinger.
Won't go official, unfortunately, but
what I say earlier, VRS is at Road Atlanta. Let's see what else we got out there.
Trucks in Chicago this week. That's where
We never did the Clark challenge, so I'm sorry he's going to hold that over our head.
He brought that up last night. Literally, he was like, "We never did that."
Legends is at Daytona. Legend cars.
Daytona?
I don't know how that's going to work.
Wow.
Daytona
road course or just Daytona?
I'm hoping it's the road course.
Yeah, it's probably the road course, but
the IRO ones at Le Mans.
Cute.
Oh, Super Late Miles at New Smyrna. That's up Telder's alley.
No, I hate that track. Yeah, I have to run there for Sarah Wednesday night. For yeah, not
can't wait.
Forward to it.
By the way, how was your league races? We never asked.
Led a bunch of laps Wednesday night I didn't do shit. I think I just wrecked out of both races. I think modifieds. Thursday night, 5 flags, late model league. Started 11th, had the lead by lap 10. Led 30 something odd laps. Guy finally takes second. First corner after he takes second, just dumps me.
That sounds right.
Then drove back through to 5th or 6th and tried to put my nose in between somebody in the pit road wall and spun them out. Took an EOL for that, went to the back again, drove back through the field and finished 4th in there. Then in MLR last night, drove from new Cup Series league that I'm in, that Stefan's running.
Mm-hmm.
Started 22nd, drove to 5th. Guy pinched the exit off 4 at Auto Club, like didn't open the corner it up. I got into his door a little bit, got a little sideways, had to obviously throttle it. Dude behind me apparently just didn't witness any of this happen and drove through me at 50 mile an hour faster than I was. With plenty of time to move, didn't. I got a kneel off of that. Drove back to finish 6th in that race too with a bunch of damage. So
we need now on when Telder does his reports, we need to play the violin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just putting it out there. A couple that caught my eye real quick while you were talking. The trucks are at Chicagoland. And there you go.
I said that. Right?
Oh, okay. And this one's up Dean's Alley. GT3 Ferraris are at Sebring. So is the GR butt kicker, which is the Toyota. So there you go. All right. Shout out to you guys for hanging out. Obviously, shout out to the viewers. I'll do that for everybody here on the podcast so that they can go race in Atlanta. Obviously, we'll come back next week, have another guest, and so on and so forth, and get you ready for the Daytona 500, which is just 2 weeks away. So otherwise, this isn't just a podcast.
No. Don't you do it. First of all,
I was going to let you finish it.
We got to do our picks still. We got to do our picks still.
For what? The Super Bowl? What are we picking?
We're going to pick for the Daytona 500 right now because we're here.
We get the podcast next week.
Doesn't matter. We're doing it now.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Well, I can't do the research in my vote. I can't.
Thank you. I'm not going to research. I kind of know where I'm going, but okay.
I mean, let's pick. Let's pick then. Let's pick. I pick.
Hold on. We'll modify it then, since there is technically multiple races the week of the 500. You have the duels and the 500.
Yeah.
So this week we will pick a duel winner. Can be from either race. Then next week's show we will pick the 500 winner.
Does the duel winner count against our picks?
No, duel winner is going to be another free pick.
All right. I got to go last, right?
No.
Yep. Yeah, he has to go last. Yep.
So Telder go first then.
That's fair. I mean, DNS.
Yep. I for dual race, I'm gonna take Bowman.
Hey, you like upsets.
That's not really an upset. The man's been on the front row for the last 6 years.
Qualifying.
Which means he's in qualifying mode. So why would his car be any good in the race?
I'm going with Busch, Kyle Busch. You feel me?
Hey, 20 years of trying.
Yeah.
Here we go again. So
that's for the duels, though. I got my other pick for the Daytona 500.
I mean, you guys never see how the Fords nominate the duels?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not going with them this time. I think this year gonna be a little bit different. Their bodies messed up.
Give me Brad Keselowski.
Really? Oh, Josh would love you right now.
All right, so there's our picks for the duel. Next week we will pick for the 500.
Okay.
I'm gonna blow your guys' mind.
We're gonna see who wins.
If he makes the race. Anyways, all right. Yeah, we're heading out. So I don't get yelled at, Telder.
Just remember, it's not a podcast. It's ScalaCast.
See ya.
We out.
This copyrighted broadcast may not be reproduced, reused, or retransmitted in any form without the authorized written consent of Captain Esports Network. Captain would like to thank all of his loyal fans for your continued support, and he hopes you enjoyed today's broadcast.